Well, hello there, Tenno, and welcome back to another episode of Warframe, and today we are taking a peek at one of my favourite subjects in the game. That's right, loot. More specifically though, rare and reinforced storage containers. But before we get into that delicious lootiness, please consider dropping me a like, comment and or sub, for the coffee barbarian requires your help. So tally ho, old chaps, and get to it. Now, I am sure we are all familiar with storage containers, for they are the backbone of most missions when it comes to looting. Forget the pure pleasure of melting many enemies in one go and getting big numbers and parkouring like a space ninja. All that pales in comparison to finding that unending loot. And what's even better than loot but rare loot? You may or may not know that even though there are all these different types of resource storage containers in the game, and there are so many, they also have rare and reinforced versions. In any given mission, there is a low chance of a single rare storage container and an even lower chance of a single reinforced storage container spawning somewhere in the map. If one spawns, it will randomly select a vacant high value hotspot, similar to that of a syndicate medallion, and it will spawn in that. And now, apparently, according to my YouTube viewers, you can get pretty good at remembering those locations if you repeat them often enough. However, I was just randomly finding these unique containers now and again, and was sometimes drawn to them due to the sound they give off, which isn't too dissimilar to the caches found in sabotage missions. And well, what do they contain? Well, it's very similar between the rare and reinforced containers. They both have a chance to drop some form of amount of credits. Obviously, the reinforced ones being rarer will drop more. They can both potentially drop the mantis engines, a fuselage and avionics. They can both potentially drop a detonite injector, a field run or a former. They can both potentially drop AT endo, and they both have a low chance for a random weapon blueprint, including certain research exclusive blueprints. However, the rare containers drop potentially a 30-minute affinity or credit booster, whereas the reinforced one is doubled. It's 60 minutes for affinity or credit boosters. And we also have, I think, a Captura scene on the rare and maybe some Intrati Lanthorn at Albrecht's laboratories on the reinforced ones. And these variant containers randomly spawn in on Grineer, Corpus, Orokin, Sentient / Murex, Zariman, Sanctum and Holvania tile sets. However, it is not a given, and it feels really rare when you actually start looking out for them. You can, of course, run around a tile set and explore every single nook and cranny using a loot mod, for example. Although if you do this in a public squad, they may lynch you. And you can keep an eye and ear out for their unique appearance and sounds, but there is a way to try and specifically find out if the tile set you just loaded into has actually spawned something interesting or not. But I must warn you, it is very, very tedious. And far be it from me to tell you how to play this game. So I can give you the tools, and off into the looting ether you must go, Tenno, and make your own way, okay? Firstly, we need a couple of things to make life ever so slightly easier for us, being the Orokin Eye air support ability, which comes from getting yourself a parallax landing craft. And coincidentally, I recently did an air support and landing craft video, so go and check that out if you're not sure. And the other thing that we need, most importantly if you're specifically farming for these things, is the golden instinct ability that comes from your helminth. And yes, you're going to have to rank it up. So let's look at both of these things and see what they actually do. So the Orokin Eye air support ability helps you find items with a 150 meter radius. It highlights them, being Iotine treasures, syndicate medallions if you're in a syndicate mission, and scannable items, which will only be highlighted if there is a player in the squad who hasn't completed the scans, being Somacord fragments, Frame Fighter fragments, Cephalon fragments, and Curia. It also highlights Zariman accolades, Sanctum Vocas, the rare storage containers, obviously. However, please note that rare storage containers are not highlighted on the Zariman 10-0 or Albrecht's laboratories or Holvania tile sets. This is where we could really rely on Golden Instinct instead. It also highlights Sentient Cores, Orokin Defixio, Orokin Vaults, Hex Treasures, Tekrot Safe Biocodes, and it's not on the wiki but tried and tested by me. It also highlights the mushrooms on the new Valis Undermine tile set, so very useful. And the Golden Instinct ability is a void spark that is drawn to the nearest rare item, very similar to the items that we just read out for the Orokin Eye support. However, because it's an ability that you put onto your Warframe, it is linked to your Warframe's upgrades, as in how high you can get your range. So the higher your range on your Warframe, the more likely you are to discover whether there's a rare item in your vicinity. And this is important if we're going to specifically load into missions and then load out if there's nothing important there. More on that in a moment. So this is a helmet ability. It doesn't come off another Warframe, but it's from the helmet itself as you rank it up by using it. And we know the helmet is a loot goblin of sorts itself, as we must feed it our spare resources to keep it sweet. Now, there is a method suggested on the Warframe wiki for farming these rare containers, and it does state that it is very tedious. And I have tried it, but I did get very bored. They are right, it is so very tedious. However, here it is. As I said before, it's not up to me to tell you what to do with this information, just to share it with you. So, firstly, you take a Warframe. For this episode, I used Loki and Mag, and here are their various builds. You slap Golden Instinct on one of their abilities and you give them as much range as you can. Make sure Orokin Eye is equipped and that you are solo. Then choose maybe a capture or exterminate mission on the tile set of your choice. You then load in, and the first thing you're going to want to do is trigger Golden Instinct. With that massive amount of range, it will tell you if the area is barren. If it is barren, leave the mission. If it triggers, then it is time to spring into action. And by spring into action, I mean we can potentially now pop our Orokin Eye air support. But please remember, this void spark from your Golden Instinct, it doesn't go very far, but it is telling you there is something within your range of your Warframe. So mine's around 500 meters. However, the Orokin Eye air support only has a range of 150 meters, and it has a 10-minute cooldown or a 5-minute cooldown if you are rank 2 engineering with your intrinsics related to your railjack. So you kind of want to use your Orokin Eye air support sparingly, and your Golden Instinct has a cooldown also, but it's not as long, but it won't take you directly to the item. I cannot even begin to tell you, I was right on top of some of these items and I still couldn't see them without the Orokin Eye air support little marker there, that little white waypoint. Now, the reason we chose a capture or exterminate is because they're quite quick to complete. So if your Golden Instinct triggers and you don't want to leave the mission, and the thing that you're looking for doesn't turn out to be a rare container, it basically means you haven't wasted too much time. But I'm going to be so for real with you right now. I'm a loot goblin. I'm also very curious and I like exploring. And actually, what happened was I realized there were a ton of things I actually haven't got in this game. And the Orokin Eye air support and the Golden Instinct were showing me all this stuff. And those were things like curia fragments, which I just basically haven't bothered looking for at all in this game. I've probably scanned a couple. Things like the Cephalon scans, which it turns out I hadn't completed a lot of them. And there were lots of Ireton sculptures spawning in, some of which I literally ran past, and then I popped my Orokin Eye support and it was like, oh no, it's right here. And of course, on things like the Zaraman and Sanctum missions, it would also lead me to all of the things you pick up to trade for standing, the Void Plumes, the Vokas, for example. So what actually happened is, because I was mooching around, I figured out how to get into some hard to get places that I would normally just scooch right on past because I'm in a hurry. It gave me generally a new appreciation for just how much detail those sneaky little devs have put into these tile sets. For example, this Grenier tile set. I can't tell you how many times I've played this tile set and I didn't realize this little area existed. I've run past it 1,000 times. Finally figured how to get into it, and honestly it kind of gave me more of an appetite to go exploring on solo mode to see what I can find, because I have found lots of secret areas, and I mean tons, that I never knew existed on all of the tile sets. Videos incoming for those who are curious. It also gave me a chance to enjoy the new lighting on some of the tile sets, which I hadn't paid any attention to, this one being Sedna. And now the other option is basically to run through these missions with a Warframe that will smash up containers in the distance, so that you don't actually have to look for the container. Your Warframe, like Zaku, will just smash everything up in your vicinity, and you will be the recipient of the reinforced or rare storage container goodie if you've smashed up when you go past. Now, this kind of happened in this mission. I smashed the container by shooting at it from a distance. I just didn't realize I'd done it until I got close to it and realized I think it was a reinforced container, because I believe I got a field run from it. But what I really wanted to do was show you the reinforced container. Now, I've found rare ones before. I've definitely picked up like a ton of Mantis blueprints, so I haven't bought any, smashed up some rare containers in my time, or reinforced ones, and just not realized it, because it doesn't make a massive song and dance when you do find them, and you don't always hear them, that little sort of cachet noise, because you might have smashed it up before you got to it. So I know there's going to be someone in the comments telling us where the best places to farm them all are, but I tried repeatedly, and one thing for sure is it was very, very random each time. I tried sabotage missions, capture, exterminate, syndicate missions, and I only got 2 containers during like recording tons and tons of footage trying to find them. So I was going to be like, oh hey, look, there's a really easy way to find these containers, and it kind of is easy, but you're not always going to want to take this loadout. There it is, it's glowing up red. Pay attention. There you go, we smashed it up. And I stood there and was like, well, it even had a weird animation when you receive the goodie, and it doesn't completely disperse after. As you can see, the casing is still there. Check your mission progress. I was looking to see if I had a booster. No, but when you actually go to my progress, you can see I've actually picked up a field run, not a field run sample, but a field run, like a fully built field run. That's where I got that from, because there's nowhere else I would have got a field run from other than the rare or reinforced containers. So my advice would be maybe keep these 2 items in mind: Golden Instinct and or Orokin Ice Support. Pop them now and again. Maybe if you're grinding out something else, take one or both of them and try doubling down now and again. It is worth pointing out though that nothing from rare or reinforced storage containers can't be got elsewhere in the game. The Mantis blueprints are all fully tradable. A full set currently is around 16 to 20 plat, excluding the main blueprint, of course, which you buy for credits. And I've collected a few over my time in the game, as I mentioned, and not even realized it. Credit and affinity boosters are available from the market, or you can get blessings from MR30s and above on relays for those, and so on and so forth. Now, it remains to say that I wish with all of my heart that they improve the chances of these things spawning in the first place. I tried so many missions and I only got 2, as I mentioned, out of many spawn-ins. And B, they add a few more goodies into the mix, maybe like a full set of boosters that you can get at the relays, for example, or the endo reward just seems really tight, 80 endo, considering you aren't getting it very often anyway. And who knows, maybe if we can get enough views on this video, someone at DE might take note. You never know. Now, what I really want to know, Tenno, is did you know about these, and what do you think? Do you agree they need to be slightly more generous, or do you think it's all a big pointless waste of time? Share your thoughts down below, and as I mentioned, I shall be bringing you some mini videos with all the secret areas I've been finding on my travels, for we do love to share the looting love around here. And if you're still watching this video right to the end, thank you so much for sticking around. I do appreciate it, and I want to say thank you to all my regular viewers, all the new viewers for being here, all my amazing YouTube members who support me, and also the amazing Discord community that's growing. Please feel free to join. It's not just Warframe that we talk about over there. No, we're all gamers and, you know, grown-ups, and we're talking about all sorts of things over there. Link is on my channel here on YouTube. Go and join, and you're more than welcome. Now, I really do hope to see you again in the next one, no matter what it may be. But in the meantime, my darlings, you take care now, and goodbye. Happy looting.